Hello, good to have you again with us, man. It's always great to consider truths that can enrich and add value to our life. And I hope that you're finding the concept of parables for our times interesting. They're very, very basic, very, very fundamental. And these are simple illustrations that can help us to understand greater truths that often we are denied of understanding without having an adequate and an easy illustration that makes the truth plainer and clearer. So I'm sure that many of you have wondered if there is more to life than what we know. You've wondered about, is this not all that life is about? And that people speaking about life beyond this are just like playing with our minds? Or maybe being too religious, being too optimistic, even being too egotistical to actually believe that the human body and the human soul and the human personality has a continuity. Do you think that's possibly an egotistical way of living? Like we have to live forever. So it's very sort of self-focused. Well, the truth is that there is life beyond this. There is life beyond this. And I want to illustrate this. If one considers this little metaphorical story, so it's only a metaphor, an illustration. A woman is expecting twins, a little boy and a little girl. The little boy is a negative soul. He is so negative about life. He complains about everything, even in the mother's womb. Before he's even born, he just complains about everything. But the little girl, metaphorically speaking, is communicating with her brother. And she's really an optimist. She's really, very positive. And as she interacts with him, she says to him, you know something, that I think we are very, very lucky and fortunate. We are in this wonderful environment where everything is warm and cozy and it's not cramped. He says, no, before you say that, it is terribly cramped. There is a restriction. If it were not for you, I would have more space to express myself. But because of you, I'm very limited in here. So she says, oh man, don't worry about that. Although we're being fed and although there's a lot of warmth and we in actual fact can enjoy life, this is not the sum total of life. Apparently, we are going to be born into another world. And if we can put it into the way most people react today when they're being told that there's something beyond this world, the little guy who's a pessimist, who is an unbeliever, has no faith and no concept of the hope beyond this world, he turns around and he actually says to her, oh, it's all right for you to talk, but you know something? You've just been terribly religious. How can you believe there's something beyond this? She says, no. Besides being a world beyond this, there's also a loving mother. Oh, he rolls his eyes and he says, there we go. Now you're really trying to pull that religious trick on me again, telling me that there's something beyond this and there's a loving mother. Oh, please, I don't believe that. I just cannot believe that. And she says, no, there's a loving, benevolent, caring mother. And he says, I just cannot buy into that. And then what actually happens is that as the gestation period runs its course, and the woman is about to deliver the children, the result is contractions set in. And as the contractions set in, these little embryos that are now ready to be born, they in actual fact feel the tension and the stress of the muscles and the contraction. And then he turns on her and he says to his little sister, well, there you go. And this just negates and refutes everything you've been telling me. You said there's a loving mother. If there was a loving mother, why are we going through all this pain? Why are we going through all the stress? Why are we going through all this anguish? Because you don't realize what the fetus goes through. The fetus goes through incredible trauma before it comes into the next world. And she says, no, apparently this pain is necessary because this pain is ready to introduce us to our mother and to the next world. Friends, that is a very simple illustration of the way many people sadly look at life. All of us are in the embryonic stage. All of us are like the fetus having a conversation. And that is, we actually have those who believe and those who don't believe. Those who believe say there's something better beyond this world, and those who don't believe say, no, I just cannot buy into that. But pain and discomfort comes our way in order for a birthing to take place. And therefore, even when the greatest enemy of physical life occurs, namely physical death, remember that that is a birthing process. It helps us to be birthed into the new world, into the next world, where there is a loving God, a benevolent God who has a greater purpose for us than just living in this world. But as long as we're in this world, we have to survive. As long as those twins are in the womb, they have to survive. They have to respond to the information that is being fed to them and the food that is given to them and the life that is coming from their mother. But it would be just like you and I saying, well, I don't believe I'm getting this life from God. I'm not getting this life from a benevolent force. In actual fact, I'm here by accident. And are you reasoning just like the little negative brother? Or are you beginning to reason like the positive little sister who says there's something more, there's something greater in the next world waiting for me? But as long as we get there, we need to be positive about the world in which we are presently in, because the time's going to come where we're going to be birthed into the next world. I trust that that will be a very helpful and comforting illustration for each and every one of you. And I want to encourage you to use that. Use that when speaking to people who have doubts about life beyond the grave. Encourage them. And I trust you bring a lot of comfort, not only to yourself, but to many of your friends and your family members that may be feeling the sorrow and the grief and the anguish of the loss of life. God be with you, and thank you. Until next time. Keep focused and remember that God is bigger than your problem.